Hey kids, today we're going to find out how fascist I am. But we're just going to read this little tidbit first. Testing your degree of fascism. As the American legal scholar David S. Diamato has pointed out, much of the meaning contained in the word fascism has been lost in its constant and lazy employment as a general term of abuse. Though fascism and fascist have long been pejorative catchwords employed by both right and left in their denouncement of anything they do not like, fascism is in fact no catch-all, but a definite political ideology. A definite political ideology, situated at a complex crossroads between socialism, conservatism, and liberalism. By adopting elements from each of these political philosophies as its own, while simultaneously denouncing others, fascism manages to strike out as a fourth way of doing politics and a definite system of government. Does your political outlook share any of fascism's doctrines? Let's find out. So, question 1. A plurality of political parties is necessary to ensure that no one circle of individuals gets too complacent in power. I'm going to hit the one thumbs down because I like the two-party system, unironically. I don't like the UK system of doing things where there's numerous parties with numerous representation. So I'm going to go with that. Question 2. There are no universal ethics. What is good and true for one people may be false and bad for another. I'm gonna hard disagree on that. The free market is the most efficient way of organizing an economy known to man. Hard agree. People shouldn't be allowed to spread dangerous political beliefs or ridicule those with whom they disagree without the permission of the proper authorities. Gonna hard pass on that one. In the end, economic and technological strength cannot compete with the spiritual strength of a people that has faith in their country. I'm gonna hard agree on that. That is certainly true. If a people hasn't accomplished much throughout the course of its history, that tells you about the worth of that people. Spicy. I do believe that this is connected to the previous question in my view. I think that people who have a strong national identity will naturally accomplish much because of the virtues of their society. So that I do believe that in a very real sense, America is the new Rome, and that's why America is as strong and successful as it has been. So I'm going to say hard agree. Politically speaking, the state is a second-order consequence that the derived effect of a people laying claim to their homelands and flourishing there. I'm going to agree with that. Politicians have a responsibility not to upset the traditional ways of communities that live according to their time-honored customs, values, and creeds. Hard agree. In fact, a politician's role is to promote those and stand up for them. Hopefully that's how they got into power in the first place. The mode of organization employed by the military is an efficient one, and institutions like schools, the police, and firefighters could generally benefit from adopting more of the military's practices and discipline. I think, how do I put this? I know the military better than to believe this. I believe there are some places, like outside in the free market, where the military can learn more from the free market than the free market learning from the military. So I'm actually I'm actually hard neutral on that. That's definitely a give and take. The individual cannot really claim any rights against the state, since it is the state that grants him these rights in the first place. You see, this is a convoluted question, because in liberal democracies, the state does not give you the rights. Rights actually come from the consent of the governed themselves. So I'm going to hard disagree on that. People who seek happiness through money and material comfort will never achieve it. While generally true, there's always that one exception, isn't there? Organizations like the Freemasons and similar secret lodges cannot be trusted since they have their own agendas. How many Freemasons do y'all know? I'll be honest, most Freemasons that I've met personally in my life have been upstanding citizens. I haven't met one Freemason personally that I have a personal axe to grind with. I know a bunch of conspiracy theories regarding the Freemasons, but damning the institution as a whole is something I cannot personally verify. So, disagree. A person who has nothing to hide has nothing to fear from government surveillance. That is false. That is false. Classical liberalism is essentially an ideology of the past, and modern attempts to reinstate it, aka neoliberalism, are bound to lead to wars. No, I think neoliberalism is not an attempt to reinstate classical liberalism. I think neoliberalism is in fact a manifestation of progressivism. You see, because under the banner of classical liberalism, you have other ideologies, and one of those is the paleoconservative variety, like Pat Buchanan. Pat Buchanan is technically a classical liberal, so hard disagree. All people are essentially worth the same, no matter their race, gender, nationality, or IQ. You know, I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to agree with that because all can serve their own purpose in a free society. I'm just going to put it that way. It's not logical or efficient to have several companies all making the same tire, the same wrench, the same cable, so the state should step in to coordinate their efforts. No. Hard no. Competition is king when it comes to the free market, and it's fantastic for the consumer, so fuck off with that nonsense. The political challenges of today are so serious that they can no longer be solved within the traditional paradigms of political thought. Well, given the fact that neoliberalism is the traditional paradigm of our day, I'm going to have to agree. I'm going to have to agree with that. The struggle between rich and poor, between capital owners and laborers, is a more significant driver of history than the struggle between nations. That is obviously bullshit. Welfare is the only state that truly shows you warfare, not welfare. I apologize. Warfare is the only state that truly shows you what a given people is made of. Well, you know, there is some virtue to that. However, because of the subversive tactics of both China and Russia in the PSYOP warfare, I'm really struggling with this because it's hard to quantify what warfare is anymore with such a strong and present hegemonic power like the United States. um, is the only state that you know what? I'm gonna have to disagree, and here's why I'm gonna disagree. I'm disagreeing because it seems that another state that truly shows you what a given people or organization or ideology is made of is their economic strategy, their diplomacy. Well, no, not diplomacy. Diplomacy is the totally wrong word. Um, I'm going to say their ability to innovate, create, and contribute. I don't want to say progress, but advancement of human civilization as a whole. To view consumer goods and an increase in living standards as ends in themselves is a sign of moral corruption and decadence. To view consumer goods, I'm going to agree with that. I'm going to agree that, focusing on merely material things is a sign of moral corruption. That's not wrong. The economic losses from worker strikes and employer lockouts are just too massive to allow market forces to sort these things out by themselves. You know what? No. I think the market can sort them out for themselves. I think the market is more than capable of dealing with things of that nature for themselves. In fact, a strike can be economically legitimate if it's not, spurred on by communist ideology. Running a business is not very hard, and as a rule, the business owner doesn't possess any special skills that are not also possessed by his workers. That is a load of shit. The cash register, no. Just no. Ethics is a matter of statecraft. Whatever furthers the interest of the state is good, whatever inhibits it is bad. Wrong. Ethics is not just a matter of statecraft. Ethics is a matter of societal normalcy. Whatever furthers the interest of the state it can be horrible. The state is not something that you want completely involved in your life. Ethics is a facet of statecraft, but I would amend this to saying whatever furthers the interest of the family is good, and whatever inhibits it is bad. Just to clarify. Democracy is dangerous to competent statecraft because it forces every political decision to be lowered to a level of stupidity that the masses can understand. How do I put this? Yes, it's true, but it's not a bad thing. Does that make sense? Democracy is dangerous to competent statecraft because it forces every political decision to be lowered to a level of stupidity that the masses can understand. I'm going to slightly disagree with that. When it comes down to it, politics is mostly about distribution of money, materials, and resources. A people's values and religion are just the icing on the cake. Wow. Okay. When it comes right down to it, politics is mostly about the distribution of money, materials, and resources. No. I believe that people's values, religion, and the preservation thereof is intrinsic in the political realm. And politics is not about just the distribution of money and resources. It's about the maintaining and sustaining of a people's values. So I'm going to hard disagree. The honor and worth of a people is proportional to the contributions it has made to the global civilization. If a people has not contributed much, it is of little worth. Disagree. Not that greatness isn't expected or that people shouldn't strive for contribution, but I do believe that you are not bound to share such contributions to the global civilization. I believe that a people can be great within their own borders and only within their own borders, ideally. If a state is to protect the freedom of its citizens in the long run, the state itself must be free to make controversial or unlawful decisions when necessary. You see, if the state is to protect the freedom of its citizens, the state must be free to make controversial or unlawful decisions when necessary. That would beg the question if these... No, I don't agree with that. Because the state's primary function is to protect the freedom of its citizens in the long run. The idea of it needing to make an unlawful decision in the course of that goal should always be highly suspect. So, hard disagree. The individual is more important than the state. I'm going to say agree. However, I will qualify it with families are more important than the state, because the individual as an atomized person admittedly has very little power, but it's the protection of the individual that can make the state great. However, if more emphasis was placed on family, then that would truly be more important than the state itself. All right, let's see where we're at, guys. You are 36% fascist, which makes you a fascist fellow traveler. In your case, it would seem that your political outlook shares more than a few of the core doctrines of fascism, since fascism is really a mix of communism, socialism, conservatism, and liberalism, with a few innovations of its own thrown in. It is scarcely surprising that most people's political outlook will have quite a few similarities with the doctrines of fascism. Oh, come on. Even after adjusting for these parameters, however, it would seem that the commonalities between your political outlook and fascism are not merely incidental, but arise from certain overall themes, concerns, and solutions which your personal outlook has in common with fascism. While you are most likely not a fascist, the overlap between your preferred society and that of fascism is simply too significant to be pure chance. Oh. In all likelihood, you are what one might call a fascist fellow traveler, someone who sees value in some of the immediate societal changes that fascism would bring, but not someone who is an actual fascist. Your ultimate political goals lie elsewhere. That's not wrong. That's not wrong at all. So, I got 36%, guys. 36% fascist. Let me know what you think about these results. Oh, this is funny. All right. That's it, guys. Stay carnal and God bless.